Out. We'll be back to Cleveland for another overtime period after these messages from your local station.
Stingray's back, and this time it's a whole new game. Catch the return of Stingray Friday.
Hi, I'm Elaine Joyce. Come home to Channel 36 each weekday at 3 p.m. for all the fun on the all-new dating game. Channel 36 is making coming home more fun than ever before.
Another 30 seconds of common sense. Walk into most automobile showrooms and ask to see something under $7,000, and you'll get very little show with lots of room for improvement. But at Hyundai, you'll get 7 Excel models, all under $7,000, all thoroughly equipped, and that leaves very little room for the competition.
Test drive an Excel at South Fork Hyundai in Austin. We sell cars that make sense.
In the cold at Soldier Field in Chicago on another leg. The Redskins have just gone in front of the Chicago Bears 7-0. First quarter score. Here at Cleveland, this is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy as we are now ready to start a second overtime period. It is 20-20. The Browns railing late in the game, scoring on a 1-yard run by Kevin Mack to culminate a 9-play drive, and then by a field goal by Mosley to tie the game with 7 seconds left. Kevin Mack breaks into open field, and he's down to the 20-yard. And again, the Browns are in field goal range, but that has not meant points on 3 occasions earlier when Mosley's missed field goals.
15-yard pickup by Kevin Mack on a 3rd down and 3. This is a nice draw trap up the middle by Cleveland. You got to think that at this point in a football game, the Jets are more tired than the Browns because the Jets played last week. The Browns had the week off.
They're at the outfield end of Cleveland Stadium, driving towards the open end of the stadium. Turf is tight here. End up to Mack, right back to the same play. Power blocking up front from Fike and Farron, the guards, and Babb, the center. And again, straight ahead field goal range as they're keeping the ball right at the uprights, but the Browns are not going to risk another field goal try from this far out, at least, as they're going to keep driving the ball. A lot of teams would go right to the field goal here, not risk a turnover.
It would be a 33-yard attempt here. Mosley's already missed from 23. Cleveland's gained the majority of the yards in this overtime period.
10th play of the drive coming up. Costas, the second-year quarterback, with 2 wideouts left and 1 to the right. Mack the setback. Mack gets the ball. Again, he breaks the wave of tacklers, breaks it down to the 9-yard line, and still no field goal unit out for Cleveland. Apparently Schottenheimer's not going to risk it. He thinks it's safer to pound the ball.
Here he comes. And you realize, too, that the last time the Browns were in this position in 1981, their kicker was Don Cockcroft, a straight-ahead kicker. Although it was against the wind, today the wind is no factor whatsoever.
Our thanks to NBC statistician Ross Steyerman and Steve Bozica, as we could be down to the end, a 27-yard field goal. Our producer today for NBC Sports, George Finkel. Our director, John Gonzalez. The executive producer of NBC Sports, Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of NFL football, Ted Nathanson. And there's more coming up tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Time. It's to NFL 86 and then to Mile High Stadium in Denver, where Dan Reeves and his Broncos are ready to hook up with Raymond Berry and his Patriots in a divisional playoff game. The winner to play the winner of this game. And that winner, we've thought in past situations like this, would be Cleveland, but not so, as Mosley's had a bad day. He's had a lot of great ones in his 15 years.
On the Jets trying to ice Mark Mosley, the oldest kicker in the NFL. They take a timeout, let him think about those misses he's had today. Scott Nicholas is the snapper. Jeff Gossett is the holder. Those uprights are 12 yards wide. They got it right now. Look like the distance between 2 fingers to Mark Mosley.
Snap and set down, and the game is history. Cleveland wins it. 11 plays, 59 yards. And a celebration begins in Cleveland over one of the great victories in the storied history of the Browns. 23-20 in a second overtime period, the second longest game in NFL history. Cannons are going off. Art Modell in the next booth in tears. He almost was in tears for another reason earlier.
And they'll do it again in Cleveland next weekend.
So the Browns will be on the home field to play the winner of the Patriots-Broncos game, which is coming up tomorrow on NBC Sports. There's Art Modell and his wife, Pat.
Took a long time for that hug, didn't it?
Rumpy, I'm ready to hug you at the end of this one.
Here's Mosley. Last time he missed, he knew immediately. This time he made it, and he knew immediately.
But you'd have to celebrate the effort of the Jets also. A big underdog. Nobody even conceded them a chance of winning even in the wild card game. But when they did, we'll be coming back to Cleveland after this. The winners, the Browns.
Bob, I need a trainer.
Now it's time for the Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser, and today's MVP is Cleveland quarterback Bernie Kosar, with new playoff records, 33 completions and 64 attempts for 489 yards. That's 489, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of the MVP selected in this weekend's games. NFL 86 is coming up next. This is Don Criqui for Bob Trumpy at Cleveland, where the Browns have just rallied to beat the Jets in overtime 23-20.
The responsibility
for Mark Mosley, who has seen so many pressure-packed situations through the years with the Redskins. First, it is the pain and the dejection and the disbelief of missing a potential game winner from just 23 yards out in OT. But moments later, redemption. Bingo, there it is from 27, and the Browns move on against either the Patriots or the Broncos in overtime in Cleveland. The Browns 23, the Jets 20 after Cleveland had trailed 20-10 with less than 2 minutes to play in regulation. Which brings us to the Budweiser NFL Report, brought to you by Budweiser Beechwood Aged for that clean, crisp taste. Hey, everybody in Cleveland, this Bud's for you. Let's go right back out to the ballpark. Ahmad Rashad is in the Happy Browns locker room, and he's got the game's hero, not Mark Mosley, Bernie Kosar. Ahmad.
We're going. All right, Bernie, we're here. I'm telling you, it was one whale of a game. You just stayed cool the whole time.
Yeah, it was a great performance by our team out there today, and I think the main thing was it showed a lot of character. We could have quit a lot of times in that fourth quarter, and we thank God right now for this moment.
How'd you stay so cool? I'm telling you, you guys kept getting down. You kept coming back.
Well, if you looked at it like it was it's the end of the season if we go down today, and obviously we want to go back to Vero Beach and practice next week.
And one thing you told me last week that you guys were playing well as a group. One part of the team went down, the other part brought them back.
Exactly. I think the key today was the whole team stuck together again. Showed a lot of character, composure, and we're looking forward to next week now.
It's got to give you a lot of momentum going into next week. Do you care who you play?
It doesn't matter right now. Still, we're in a dream world right now.
I'm telling you, 2 years in the league, I just can't figure out how you can stay so cool. You had some drops early on in the first half, and you still came back strong.
Well, that's the thing in this league is the games are won in the fourth quarter, and whatever happens early in the game, you just got to put it behind you and learn from it. Keep your head in it and keep working.
All right, Bernie, congratulations and good luck to you all.
Thank you, Ahmad.
I guess that finishes it for the moment for Ahmad Rashad. We'll come back to him in the winning Cleveland locker room in a moment. This was the 7th overtime game in playoff history. Don Shula has been involved in 3 of them. We'll get his thoughts when we continue on the Budweiser NFL Report.
Brighten your colors, sharpen your sound with high-tech components designed to astound. Fine-tune your life with Emerson. Amazing new features, the ultimate prize. Step into the future, we'll open your eyes. Fine-tune your life. Emerson feels so right. Emerson. Fine-tune your life with Emerson.
What's this, tough guy? Aftershave skin conditioner. I know. I thought I was the only guy with sensitive skin. Every time I shave, I get it right here.
What do you fellas use? Because shaving irritates my whole face.
After. Try it. Looks different. Oh, it's rich. It's a lotion. After soothes razor scrape sensitive skin.
Hey, this feels great. And smells good, too. Terrific.
Sensible care for sensitive skin. Aftershave skin conditioner.
By Menon.
As I mentioned, this is the 7th overtime game in playoff history. The first was back in 1958. The game some still call the greatest ever played, Johnny Unitas and the Colts over the Giants at Yankee Stadium in overtime. Since then, there have been a half dozen more, counting today, and Don Shula has been involved in 3 of them. First, as the coach of the Colts in 1965, the Packers on a Don Chandler field goal beat them in overtime 13-10. Then there was the game, which we'll take a look at in just a moment, in 1971, that 6-period game on Christmas Day when a Garo Yepremian field goal won it for the Dolphins over Kansas City. And more recently, the Dolphins lost a memorable game on January 2nd of 1982 to San Diego, 41-38 in overtime. That was the game in which Kellen Winslow excelled and a Rolf Bernerschke field goal won it. But let's go back to a Dolphin victory before getting Don Shula's thoughts. Christmas Day, 1971, a memorable game in almost every respect. Outstanding performances on both sides of the field. Kurt Gowdy calls the game winner.
The kick is up. The kick is good. Miami wins.
Remember?
Great memories. But what a ball game this was today. And you really have to give Cleveland credit. How many times do you get a second chance? And when they blew the field goal down there, you thought it was all over with. But they hung in there. They played great defense when they were down by 10 points. They just stayed in there, played the great defense. And Kozar was able to move them back, get in position to tie, and then, of course, when they got the ball again in the overtime, they were able to do the things that were necessary and give Mosley the second chance.
You know, Coach, part of what makes sports interesting, the beauty of it, at the same time that you see great grace under pressure, as Kozar displayed, these are human beings, even though they're skilled athletes, and both teams can look back and say, gee, we really blew it there. For example, the Browns, in addition to the field goal Mosley missed, what about after the completion to Webster Slaughter at the end of regulation, they're at the 5-yard line with 35 seconds to go, they start dancing around and celebrating and blow an opportunity for the winning touchdown.
Well, that was tough to figure out because you had to get in there. They didn't have any timeouts. You had to get in there and you had to get the ball thrown out of bounds to stop the clock. And as it turns out, they almost missed that opportunity. And then with 11 seconds to go, they still conceivably could have had time to take one more shot at the end zone. But they elected to go for the field goal at that time. And, of course, it didn't work out for them. But these are things that the excitement, the emotions of the game, the players get caught up in it, the coaches get caught up in it, and it hurt them at that time.
Paul, some quick thoughts?
Yeah, you know, you've got to give the Jets credit. They were playing today, which everybody picks as probably the best team in the AFC in the playoffs, the Cleveland Browns. And the Jets, they kept hanging in there. But the only thing that really frustrated me a little bit about this game was the Jets adjusting again. They played the game near the end of the game not to win it, but playing the defense so that they could win it by defense and not by offense. And let me give you an example. When they had a 10-point lead, Bob, they had the ball 4 more times. And in that 4 times, they carried it. They had 3 plays, 3 plays, 5 plays, 3 plays. They were sacked 3 times. And McNeil carried the ball 3 times on that thing for minus 12 yards. The offense just did not produce for them when they had to.
We're going to continue on the post-game show. We want to tell you there's a game going on in Chicago, early second quarter. Washington leads the Bears 7-0. Schrader, a 28-yarder to Art Monk in the first quarter to give the Skins the early lead.
This bud's for all that you do.
It could be any time now. I'll call you back.
A friend is counting on you.
No, Bill had to leave. Can I help you? We need copies by 4:30.
I'll cover it for him. Hey, Chester, is this Bill's first?
Well, not a word. You see a new beginning. Now is your finest inning. Your friends make it better by pulling together. You share the pride of winning. You make America work, and this bud's for you.
Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers.
Here he comes.
This bug's for you.
At Soldier Field, Doug Flutie just hit Willie Galt. They made the extra point, 7-7 early second quarter, Redskins and Bears. Now to some highlights of this overtime game won by the Browns today in Cleveland. They were tied at 10-10 at halftime, and we'll pick it up in the fourth quarter with the Jets in front 13-10. And here, Kozar, the least intercepted quarterback in the entire league this year, throws an ill-advised pass, and Russell Carter picks it off in the end zone. Even had they not scored a touchdown there, they were in easy position for a game-tying field goal. Then Freeman McNeil will run 25 yards for a touchdown on this carry. That follows another interception, that one by Jerry Holmes, as Kozar was picked off once more, and it looked like the game would belong to the Jets. 20-10 was the score. Inside 2 minutes to play, when Kevin Mack, who had a big fourth quarter and overtime, gets across, and after the point after touchdown, they move to within a field goal at 20-17. They get the ball back, but they have no timeouts left. Backpedaling, Kozar looks for Brennan, and there is an interference call on the play. It wasn't Webster Slaughter, it was Brian Brennan. Carl Howard is called for interference, and it sets up a 1st and 10 at the 42. They managed to get close enough for Mosley to put this one through just at the end of regulation, ties it up at 20-20. Each team had several possessions in overtime. On one of them, Mosley, incredibly, misses a 23-yarder wide to the right. It never had a chance as he pushes it off to the side. It isn't often that you get a second chance. However, Mosley did, and he put it through from 26 yards out to win it in the second overtime period. And here he is now in the Browns locker room with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. I'm here with Mark Mosley. Mark, you talk about living on a thin line, man.
Yeah, the ice almost broke through on me, too.
What happened?
I don't know. For some reason, when I hit the ball, I was all off balance, and I can't figure out what happened unless the soil moved. Something happened that threw me off balance. And I just really mishit it. Almost missed the whole ball for some reason.
Well, when things like that happen, all of a sudden you get a second chance. It had to be going through your mind a little bit.
Oh, definitely. I was praying the good Lord, don't let us lose because of me. You know, that was one of the things I said a long time ago. If I ever get to the point where I start losing games because of me, then I'm ready to pack them in, and I'm not ready to pack them in yet.
Well, you had some great games in the past. You had to draw on that confidence to go for that one.
Well, exactly. I think that's where the experience comes through. I actually got in a situation similar to this years ago in San Francisco in just a regular season game, and missed a field goal, but then in overtime too, and then had an opportunity to come back and win it with a 38-yard field goal in overtime. So I've been there before. That's the thing they say is most coaches like to have somebody that's been there. There's not too many situations that I haven't been in one time somewhere before.
You talk about situations that you've been in before. You've been on a great Washington Redskin team. Can you compare this team now to the great teams you were on in Washington?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we have here is this team just believes we can win. We've been saying that for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and people just didn't believe us. And I think today is a good example that we find ways to win no matter what the circumstances and the situation and how bad it looks.
All right, man. Congratulations to you and good luck on the playoffs.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. All right, back to you, Bob.
Ahmad, don't go anywhere. We'll be checking with you as the post-game show rolls along. The Flutie touchdown pass in Chicago, by the way, to Willie Galt was a 50-yarder, and not that one against Washington at 7 in the second quarter. We're coming right back.
Winning's easy. Give 110%, expect 110%. From yourself, everyone, everything. Speed Stick deodorant gives 110%. Sedge. What? There's no alcohol, and alcohol evaporates. Speed Stick protection doesn't evaporate even after 24 hours. Glides on dry in just a few strokes. That's 110% protection.
Speed Stick deodorant, the wide stick.
That's your edge.
By Menon. You'd no more settle for a flake in your hair than a spot on your tie. You pass the test, your good grooming has a look of success. Your head and shoulders above the rest. One flake can mean dandruff. Regular shampoos may rinse flakes, but Head and Shoulders protection goes to the source to help stop flakes.
And that's doing it right.
Your head and shoulders above the rest.
With us now in the Jet locker room is Marty Lyons, New York defensive lineman. He's always very gracious, win or lose, and he's consented to speak with us now. Ahmad Rashad hasn't been able to make it between the Browns locker room and the Jets locker room, so we'll do it on a two-way. Let's get a look at Marty Lyons here.
You're fine.
I hope he can hear us. Marty, this is Bob Costas in New York.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, Marty, your thoughts immediately after this tough defeat in overtime.
Well, it's disappointing because anytime you have a 10-point lead with 4 minutes left and you don't win, you know that you just didn't bite them in the neck. You didn't take it to them.
After Mosley missed the overtime field goal, did you get the feeling that maybe it was going to be your day after all?
Well, we felt like we dodged a major bullet there, and we felt that getting the ball in the 20, our offense could move us down and maybe give us a chance to win. But, you know, it should have never gone to overtime. You got to give the Browns a lot of credit. They hung in there, and, you know, anybody that can score 10 points in less than 4 minutes with no timeouts, you got to give them credit.
Is there any consolation at all in that locker room right now about the fact that after a 5-game losing streak, your team regrouped, you beat the Chiefs, and you came very close to beating the team that many regard as the best in your conference today?
Well, it's hard, you know, because now we go home and we know that we should be going on. But, again, you have to give the Browns credit. They fought back. They made things happen, and we fell a little short today.
How close to the Jets' peak form do you think you came today? How close to the form you showed in the middle of that 9-game winning streak?
I think we were very close, but anytime you're missing a Joe Kleck or Lance Mel, defensively it's going to hurt, and for the morale of the team it's going to hurt. But I think we played with a lot of enthusiasm. We played with a lot of heart, and we made them work for the victory, if anything else.
Marty, thanks for spending some time with us. We salute you for a noble effort today.
Thank you, and I want to wish my mom a happy recovery down in St. Pete and send my love to her.
Marty Lyons in the Jet locker room. They lose in the second overtime to the Cleveland Browns today, 23-20. More with Don Shula and Paul Maguire when we continue in just a moment.
Brighten your colors, sharpen your sound with high-tech components designed to astound. Fine-tune your life with Emerson. Amazing new features, the ultimate prize. Step into the future, we'll open your eyes. Fine-tune your life. Emerson feels so right. Emerson, fine-tune your life with Emerson.
What's this tough guy? Aftershave skin conditioner. I know. I thought I was the only guy with sensitive skin. Every time I shave, I get it right here.
What do you fellas use? Because shaving irritates my whole face.
After. Try it. Looks different. It's rich. It's a lotion. After soothes razor scrape sensitive skin.
Hey, this feels great. And smells good, too. Terrific.
Sensible care for sensitive skin. Aftershave skin conditioner.
By Menon.
You know, I've said it before, great games just seem to follow Don Criqui around. And if Bob Trumpy has any smarts at all, he'll just hang on to Cricky's coattails, and they'll be fine. Let's go back to them for their reflections.
Thank you, Bob. Another quiet Saturday afternoon in Cleveland. At least it has been since Mosley's field goal. I think you have to salute so many parts of the Browns. The obvious one, the quarterbacking of Bernie Kosar that directed them back, Trump. But also the tremendous tenacity of the defense that kept getting the ball back and back, stopping the Jets in overtime after that huge disappointment that Mosley missed before his success.
Yeah, Don, you're right. A lot of teams in that situation would kind of go into a shell. I think there's also the legitimate questioning of Joe Walton when his team was on offense in the overtime periods. I was of the impression that they weren't really trying to win the game as opposed to trying to make sure they didn't lose the game. And Cleveland, on the other hand, they came right at it. They came out there and tried to get the ball down the field. They ran Mack on a couple of draw plays. That last drive, a thing of beauty, 10 plays, 59 yards, and Mosley a chance for atonement, and he finally gets it done. I got my $25 worth.
That's what tickets went for, and there were 80,000 people here. And so instead of a major disappointment for the Browns, right now they're in favorites position in the American Conference to go to the Super Bowl. They'll be, of course, playing the winner of tomorrow's Patriot-Bronco game at Denver. But Cleveland will be favored again on the home field.
I agree with you. Only one injury for Cleveland that we know about. That's Eddie Johnson, the middle linebacker. But when you play a game like this and win, no matter how exhausted you are during the game, you always recover more quickly. So I don't think this second longest game in NFL history will be any factor whatsoever to the conditioning of the Cleveland Browns next week. And they're going to be hanging from the rafters in Cleveland Stadium next time they play.
It's like Ernie Banks. It was so good, let's do another one. Have a doubleheader.
Let's play two.
Let's go back to Bob Costas in New York. Bob?
Don and Trump, thanks very much. Great job today. Redskins and Bears still tied at 7 midway through the second quarter at Soldier Field. We'll be back to wrap things up from here right after these messages.
This Bud's for all that you do.
It could be any time now. I'll call you back.
A friend is counting on you.
No, Bill had to leave. Can I help you? We need copies by 4:30.
I'll cover it for him. Hey, Chester. Is this Bill's first? Well?
Not a word.
You see a new beginning. Now is your finest inning. Your friends make it better by pulling together. You share the pride of winning. You will make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers.
Here he comes.
This Bud's for you.
We have a few moments in closing here. We turn to Don Shula. You have been in so many big games. You've won your share. You've lost a few. How does it feel on either side right now?
Well, this is such a tough game. It's a heartbreak for the team that loses the football game. And you got to give Joe Walton and the Jets credit for the great start that they had and then the slump that they went into to get it back into the playoffs and to play a game like they play today where going into the 2 minutes they were ahead by 10 points and then everything collapsed on them. And then, on the other hand, you got to give the Browns credit for keeping their poise and making the plays when they had to make them. Offensively, they got the points up to tie the ball game. And defensively, they stopped the Jets when they had to stop them. So the Browns' defense, you got to give an awful lot of credit to after they were down by the 10 points to hang in there, to take the ball away from the Jets and give their offense a chance to win the football game.
As a coach, how long does it take to get your team's attention again after a win like that? After all, they've got to prepare. They're going to know tomorrow whether it's the Patriots or the Broncos, and they've got to start preparing. But is there a period of time, a transition, where you have to come down off the high?
Well, they're going to enjoy tonight, I can guarantee you that. But then they also know that they've got to get themselves ready to play. They had a week off last week, and they're going to enjoy tonight and then get themselves ready. The Jets, you never get used to the suddenness of the season ending, and they've got to live with that.
Something that struck me watching our camera shots of the coaches along the sidelines, Schottenheimer would not allow disappointment to linger. Mosley misses the field goal. He allowed himself only a split-second reaction. And almost before he could bring his hands up to say, oh, no, he snapped them down and said, let's go. Get the defense back on the field and let's go. He didn't let any of that letdown permeate the sideline.
That's where it's so important to show leadership, because if your head is down, the people around you see you and their head is going to go down. But if you make them believe that they can win the football game some way, somehow, they're going to do whatever is necessary to do the best that they can to win the football game. Fortunately, they got the second chance, and Mosley made it when he had the second chance.
Now, the Cleveland Browns did one thing you said they would. They won the game. Unfortunately for you,
that's right,
they did not cover the point spread.
You know, when I looked at this game, and I'm thinking about this entire day, and it's something that Coach Shula said about the Cleveland Browns, it shows you the character of this football team, is that when they were down 7-0, and it's a point he made at halftime, they took the ball 98 yards from the 2-yard line to tie the score at 7-7. That point showed you the character of the Cleveland Browns. So if there was a team on this given day that could come back from a 10-point deficit near the end of the game, it was the Browns.
Did they show some weaknesses, though, today that either the Patriots or the Broncos will be able to exploit next week?
If you're going to do anything against the Cleveland Browns that I saw today, and one thing is don't try to go deep against them, because I don't think you'll be able to do that, is to take the short stuff, those little out things. And I would concentrate more on my offensive backs coming out of the backfield much more than I would the wide receivers going downfield.
All right, a quick item here. Kevin Butler just drilled a 23-yard field goal. The Bears have the lead in the second quarter at home on the Redskins after trailing 7-0. They now lead it 10-7. We'll be on the air tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Time. We've got the late game. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen will call it from Mile High Stadium in Denver. The Broncos hosting the Patriots, with the winner, of course, to face the Browns next Sunday in the AFC Championship game. Now, while we have an opportunity, we'd like to thank all of the people who work behind the scenes all year long on NFL 86, and as we do it, we'll listen to some memorable calls of the season just passed.
This is Dennis Gentry in the open at the 30, and he's all the way to the 40. A foot race, and they're not going to catch Dennis Gentry all the way for a touchdown.
Raiders on 3rd and long now go to his spread formation. Elway set in the shotgun at the Raider 40. Home run ball. Watson's open. Touchdown. Fake to Hector. O'Brien going for it all. To Walker. Touchdown. Oh, wow. To Sewell. He's looking to throw.
Showing him a big look. Here they come. Pressure for Moon, who gets it away, and Drew has it at the 50, and he'll go all the way.
Jeff Smith to return the kick of Chris Norman, and we look for the Chiefs to put pressure on the kicker. Just as, no, they're going to throw all alone. He's out there. The pass is complete to Wilson to the 20, makes the move to the 10, 5. A gadget play, they score.
It's caught for a touchdown. Gets the touchdown and New England wins. Oh, my.
Brooks in motion out of the backfield. Kinnerer loses the football. It is covered, I believe, by the Oilers. And with the football, look at this. With the football, the Oilers trying to go for distance. Robert Miles is going to go all the way. A touchdown.
First and 10. Costas, long ball. It's going to go for a touchdown. The game's over. Webster slaughtered.
Flea flicker back to Marino. Has a man running free. If he hits him, it's Duper. It'll be 6. Mark Duper. 69 yards. Touchdown. Miami.
Intercepted by George Martin. He's going to go all the way. Elway can't get him. 20. Martin has a touchdown.
In motion, the tight end Tice off the wing right. And Craig going long, wide open. Turner at the 20, at the 10. Touchdown, Seattle.
Oh, they'll try it again. Here's the snap. Here comes the pressure. The kick is blocked. And it is 3 down at the 15-yard line. The Colts pick it up. Indianapolis may win it.
Jeff Smith is back. Another block punt by the Chiefs. A free ball. And Kansas City scores the first touchdown on a special teams play.
He beats the blitz. A beautiful play to Brooks at the 30, 20, 10. Brooks, touchdown, Bengals. Off the fake, Ryan on a bootleg. Pat Ryan refuses to go down.
First down and 10. McNeil.
Gonna throw.
Back to the quarterback. He can throw it again.
Walker.